I'm live at Wrightsville Beach, tracking the potential for heavy rain and flooding from Tropical Storm Debbie expected tonight.
The newest forecast track for Debbie is in, and we're in for days of rain, along with the risk for flash flooding. Well, we'll start to feel Debbie's impacts, and where we're triggering multiple WRAL weather alert days.
Coming up with the State Emergency Operations Center, as well as local government and Duke Energy is doing right now to prepare for Tropical Storm Debbie.
Right now at 7 o'clock, Tropical Storm Debbie is slowly moving our way. Tonight, Governor Cooper issued a state of emergency for North Carolina. We will start to feel the impacts here over the next 24 hours. Thanks for being with us. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. We are expecting lots of rain. And in the last 30 minutes, our area was put under a high risk now for flooding on Thursday, one of several new alerts issued in just the last few hours.
We have live team coverage ahead of these impacts. Let's begin with meteorologist Kat Campbell in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Kat, the heavy rainfall we'll see will be significant.
That is the big story. This is going to be another slow mover. And unfortunately, we've gotten all too used to these over the past 5 to 10 years. Already some of the rain bands starting to reach the North Carolina coast. Here's the center of the storm just now crossing into Georgia. That's where Amy Wilmoth is, and we'll hear from her in the WRAL Storm Tracker in a few minutes. A tropical storm watch is now in effect for the North Carolina coast up to the Cape Fear region. This also includes the Myrtle Beach area. For us, we're not under a tropical storm watch yet, but a flood watch already going into effect tomorrow. Top winds right now 50 miles per hour. It's just moving to the northeast at 6 miles per hour. This is the concern that we've been telling you about since last week. Debbie is stalling over the southeast, going to be dumping heavy rain and likely making landfall again early Thursday in South Carolina, either as a strong tropical storm, not out of the question that it could be a weak hurricane. Either way, the big story here is going to be the rain. It slows down as it moves through the Carolinas, and we are looking at the potential for 15 to 20 inches of rain in South Carolina, historic flooding there. For the North Carolina coast, 10 to 15 inches of rain, 7 to 10 inches for Fayetteville, Goldsboro. For Raleigh and Durham, we're in that 5 to 7 inch zone. So this is really significant rainfall. Because of that, a flood watch will go into effect tomorrow morning, lasting all the way through Friday. We are going to be tracking the impacts from Debbie all week long here. As for the wind threat, not as great. I'm thinking about 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible. At the coast, there could be some gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. So let's talk a little bit more here about the timing. Tomorrow, we're going to see these outer rain bands move in. By the evening, it's going to be more on and off. Definitely not a washout tomorrow. But the worst of the impacts come Wednesday through Friday. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are WRAL weather alert days due to Debbie. By Wednesday, we've got the outer rain bands really ramping up. And then Thursday should be some of the heaviest rain we see. The strongest winds may end up coming Friday, along with the tornado threat east of the center of this storm. And we're going to talk more about that threat coming up.
Well, Kat, I got to show you some of these images from Wrightsville Beach. I was just looking at some surfers. They're just over there on the corner of this screen there. I see 4 of them who are all hoping to catch some waves at Wrightsville Beach. Tropical storm and storm surge watches are in effect for parts of our coast. WRAL's Aaron Thomas is live at Wrightsville Beach, where rain is moving in. Aaron, what preparations are underway today?
Yeah, so of course we spoke with local authorities who talked about basically make sure they have all their ducks in a row before this storm moves in. But mostly we wanted to get a feel for how locals and visitors are dealing with current conditions. So we have some light rain that's on and off. We have a nice breeze that's going, then overcast clouds. And of course the people that are here on the beach making the most of this weather for the most part. We have a decent crowd that's here for a Monday. We spoke with several people, a lot of people visiting, some folks from Charlotte, even ran into a crowd of visitors from Boston. They say that this tropical storm is certainly top of mind, and they are definitely checking in with their local weather. As we look over here, you can see there are several rental properties. You also have a fishing pier, local bars. These are in low-lying areas. I went to check and see if there's any sandbags. We're not seeing that just yet, but of course that could change. In this area where we normally see the lifeguards sit, we don't see any red flags flying, telling folks of any rip current risk, but we're told that the National Weather Service, they're expected to have those flags put out by tomorrow. So of course, heavy rain and flooding are just some of the expected impacts from this storm. We will be back on our late news starting at 10 on Fox 50 with how local authorities are preparing and the warnings and advice they have for locals and visitors ahead of this storm. Aaron Thomas, WRAL News, live at Riceville Beach.
And this is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center. I want to take you to live pictures right now from Charleston, South Carolina. All new at 7 o'clock. The mayor has declared a curfew there starting at 11 o'clock tonight. They've already seen about 2.5 inches of rain. They've already been dealing with some street flooding. And by the time it's all said and done, they could see up to 20 inches of rain. And the mayor is asking everyone that lives on the peninsula there to stay put tonight. Also getting some new information from Sarasota, Florida. These are pictures from the Sarasota Police Department where they have rescued more than 500 people from flooding, and those rescues are continuing as we speak, likely going to last into the evening. Let's take you to the WRAL Storm Tracker. As we take a look at the radar here, you can see the Storm Tracker icon right there in Savannah, Georgia, and that's where meteorologist Amy Wilmoth is right now. Amy, you have seen some extremely heavy rain at times today.
Absolutely, and countless roads covered in water here in the Savannah area. In fact, we're in front of one of those that's covered in water that stranded a vehicle just a short time ago, and we keep seeing vehicles, trying to drive through the water, which is exactly what you're not supposed to do. They've had nearly 6 inches of rain, and they're expecting historic flooding here. 20 inches, maybe 30 inches of rain possible. So they have a long way to go. The most they've ever had in this area is about 12 inches for 4-day totals. So it is likely that this is going to be a historic flooding event for the area of Savannah. Take a look at this video we shot earlier today as we were driving through Savannah. It was very hard to navigate the roads because there was so much water already. And again, they just have such a long way to go. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a flash flood warning last as long as this one is going to last. Right now, we're in a flash flood warning, and that's going to last until 11:30 tonight. That's because things are just supposed to continue to worsen as the center of circulation nears the Savannah area. So it's a mess here in Savannah. We're going to be tracking this into South Carolina and then eventually into North Carolina. We'll keep you posted as Debbie makes its way toward North Carolina.
My goodness. All right, Amy, thank you so much. Meantime, emergency officials in our state do say that they are ready to respond if and when they have to. Duke Energy, they brought in more than 300 utility crews from the Midwest to respond in Florida, and you saw everything they're dealing with in Sarasota. It has crews in the Carolinas on standby, ready to respond here for down trees, down power lines, things like that. They say the main concern, obviously, the torrential rains and any gusty winds. Duke officials suggest everyone at home to have a storm kit prepared. So food and water, your medications, and flashlights with batteries ready. Also, take those steps now to prepare yourself and your home. And you can count on WRAL to bring you updates on air and online before, during, and after these impacts of the storm move in and then out of our area. It's also a good time to make sure that you have the WRAL News app so you can stay connected wherever you are.
Wake County is still grappling with a severe bus driver shortage heading into the school year, but it does seem to be improving, as according to new data from the district. WRAL's Destiny Patterson walks us through what has gotten better and where the district is still working to fill gaps.
Two of Emily Smith's kids don't start their school day in a classroom, but instead on the school bus.
We'll get a text message coming from the school office letting you know that there has been a bus route reschedule or no bus driver available. Sometimes as little as an hour before school lets out.
Wake County Schools sent out this notice last month, encouraging parents to provide their own transportation, citing a severe shortage of drivers and acknowledging possible delays and even cancellations.
This is a nationwide crisis of driving a bus.
New data shows the district has 539 planned routes for the upcoming traditional school year. As of this month, the district has filled 573 positions. The school system receives funding for more positions than officials create routes for. It's not clear how many bus driver positions are unfilled at this point.
We know that the problem is the lack of drivers. So that is what has to be fixed. It's really that simple. Now, how are they going to do that?
Vice Chair Monica Johnson-Hustler told me last month the district has offered incentives like bonus pay and covered the cost for drivers to get a commercial driver's license.
I think we have tried everything for bus drivers.
According to the district, all routes will be covered with a dedicated driver this school year. Over the last few years, Wake County Schools has significantly reduced the number of bus routes it runs. That's partly due to hiring issues.
Now, there are still some gaps, like students with disabilities or pre-K students. Those are students who don't ride the yellow school bus. Contractors are only able to cover some of those routes at this point. We'll get more details about those numbers during tomorrow's meeting. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Raleigh.
The women's gymnastics competition wrapped up in Paris today with the floor routine and beam.
Yeah, let's get started with the beam today. Simone Biles and Suni Lee both competed in the event. Both, unfortunately, fell off the balance beam and did not wind up on the podium in that event. Then a quick wardrobe change for Simone Biles, as you see her there. For the floor competition, she earned silver with her routine.
Teammate Jordan Childs took bronze. Did not know it at first, though. The results were updated after the coaches questioned the judges about the difficulty score. Check out this Instagram post from the Today Show's Coda Hotby. Do you see? We've got Jordan and Simone on either side of Rebecca Andrade from Brazil, the golden, just showing appreciation for their competitors.
Great sportsmanship there.
Yep.
Don't forget to stick around for our Olympic Zone right after this newscast.
We'll have live coverage from Paris, giving you a front row seat to all the action and a behind-the-scenes look. The Olympic Zone starts at 7:30. Still ahead, as we inch closer to Election Day, WRAL Investigates is taking a closer look at a major shift in voter registration in parts of our state. That story is next.
And as we go to break, we're going to give you another live image of Carolina Beach as the impacts of Tropical Storm Debbie move in at our coast.
Today marks 3 months until Election Day. Unaffiliated voters and Democrats make up the biggest voting blocs in the state. But a new WRAL analysis shows Republican voter registrations have been on a major upswing in some counties. The WRAL Investigates team and I have been monitoring this data for months and went searching to find out why. In downtown Pembroke, where locals fill the corner diner at lunchtime and train tracks face Main Street, stands the RNC Community Center, one of a few community hubs nationwide strategically placed by Republicans to connect with voters in Robeson County.
How would you describe the values of Robeson County?
It was very conservative values.
The county's GOP chair, Philip Stevens, has been involved in the county's steady shift to the right. In a WRAL analysis of voter registrations over the past 20 years, voters registered Republican in Robeson County have gone up 94%. We have a technical difficulty there. We're going to try to get you that package again. If you want to see how voter registrations have changed in your county dating back to 2004, you can find that story as part of this on WRAL.com.
Meantime, we have to talk about this weather. We'll continue to do so. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is on standby. Of course, she and Mike Mays have been spending a lot of time in the Weather Center watching this as it progresses. Kat, give us an idea now of not only, we can see the rough surf and a couple of brave surfers out there at our coast, but boy, this is going to be a really messy week for us and something that people got to take very seriously.
It's going to be a long week. This is Monday. We're going to be telling you about Debbie all the way through Friday, and we're going to start to see things around here starting to deteriorate a little bit tomorrow, but it's really Wednesday through Friday when we get the worst of it here locally. The rain that you see at the coast here, it's light. It's not a big deal yet, but it will be as it continues to add up. This is the outer rain band from Tropical Storm Debbie. It remains a tropical storm. Top winds are 50 miles per hour. It's just slowly moving to the northeast at just 6 miles per hour. That's the big issue here. It's a slow mover. We're going to be seeing a lot of rain over the next several days. And it's just because of the way the winds flow, it's just going to be drawing in all this moisture from the Atlantic Ocean in with it. It's also going to bring a storm surge to our coast. There could be 2 to 4 foot storm surge inundation at our southern beaches. For us, the timeline really of when the center of what's left of it would pass through would be late Thursday and through the day Friday. And that's when we could see some stronger wind gusts, perhaps up to 40 miles per hour here in our viewing area. But let's talk about the exact track and keep in mind that the center line can still shift, and it will shift in the coming days. So it's important that you continue to check in for updates. But it's to the east of the center. So where I've highlighted it in red here that we call kind of the dirty side of the storm. That's the worst side. That front right quadrant of a tropical system is where you get the tornadoes that can spin up. It's also where you get some of the heavy rain and flooding risk that come with these types of systems, along with a storm surge threat, at least for the North Carolina coast there. So it's important to pay attention to where the center is as we pinpoint the tornado threat, especially for the day Friday. Power outage potential. This was upgraded to a medium risk in our southern counties as we head throughout the day Thursday into Friday, and a low end threat from the triangle points north there in yellow. So here's what you should be doing now. Go ahead and clear your gutters, your drains. Should be dry for most of us early tomorrow if you want to get that done. Mow your yard. I'd go ahead and get that done, and have necessities in case you have flooding. It's always a good idea to restock your emergency supply kit. Use this as an excuse to do so. And don't forget, if for some reason you do lose power, you can always live stream us for free on the WRAL News app. Also, go to the WRAL Weather app. And on the Hurricane Center, once you click it from the drop-down menu, you can always get the latest track. You can zoom in on it and get all kinds of information. It's even got the model plots on there as well, so you can track the storm with us. WRAL weather alert days are in effect Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Once we get to the weekend, we should see what's left of Debbie moving on out of here. River flooding will be an issue. So it's not just flash flooding, but river flooding. And the worst of the river flooding should come Friday, and that will last through the weekend. We'll get more specifics on the river flooding, like what kind of streets will flood. We'll go really in depth on that, likely beginning tomorrow, Dan.
Absolutely. Kat, thank you so much. So stay with us here as we continue to cover the impending storm and all of your other news. We're back right after this.
Less than 4 weeks until college football returns to the Triangle. Let's swing over to Durham, where the Blue Devils are preparing under new head coach Manny Diaz. The new offensive coordinator, Jonathan Brewer, he's also there. Brewer worked with Diaz in Miami and spent the past 2 seasons at SMU, so you could say he has some ACC experience, maybe. He also works as a quarterback's coach. He described Texas transfer Malik Murphy as having big play potential. He's also been impressed by his deep ball. Meanwhile, he says that true sophomore Grayson Loftus is fearless.
The moment's not too big for him. And that really, honestly, guys, it doesn't show. It's not just about him playing in the game. If you guys were here in the offseason, you see him work, you would be like, oh, that's a guy. That guy works his butt off for his team. And we're like the winter workout time, right, when there's no football out there and all you're doing is conditioning drills and mat drills and all that kind of stuff, the guy's a winner.
Loftus started 5 games for Duke this past season. All right, it's one thing to hear Dave Canales confirm that Deontay Johnson will be the Carolina Panthers' featured receiver. It's another thing to see that plan actually unfolding. As training camp continues for the Panthers, it's more evident that Bryce Young and Johnson could become a productive combination during the regular season, and thanks to both hard work from the players.
He's still got a ways to go in terms of grasping what we're doing here, but he's doing a great job of just applying himself to it, working his tail off, making himself available, and really just taking those in-between windows to talk to Bryce, to make sure they're on the same page for stuff.
How competitive he is, how much he cares, and not just about the little things. Obviously, wanting to win above all, but how much he cares about the details, how much he cares about the little things.
So here's a question. Will Young play in the preseason? Coach Canales says that he's not sure if Young will play at the moment. The Panthers' first preseason game is in 4 days. The team will practice tomorrow before heading out to New England to face the Patriots. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. You can watch it on Fox 50. This will be our first time seeing the Panthers under the new leadership of head coach Dave Canales. So it'll be a lot to figure out. They'll also be going against Drake May, who's a former UNC guy up there. at the Patriots. So it'll be interesting to watch that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. A lot of people to be watching and paying close attention to, Chris. Thank you so much. Let's check back in with meteorologist Kat Campbell. And Kat, we were talking earlier, just trying to get some context on exactly how much rain could potentially fall when we see that 5 to 7 inch mark.
And you got to keep in mind, Dan, it's also on a widespread basis that we're going to see those 5 to 10 inch rainfall totals. So all that rain's going to add up, not just, in your neighborhood, but on a larger scale. The rivers are going to be very high, and we're likely to continue to see the rivers rise through the weekend. That's going to be the next big detail of the forecast that meteorologist Mike Mays and myself will be putting together, is those specific river flood numbers. But here's your rainfall numbers town by town: 5 to 7 inches in the Triangle, 7 to 10 inches for Fayetteville, our southern counties, 4 to 6 inches in our northern counties. The radar already showing some outer rain bands reaching our coast. The center still well to our south. And we've got the WRAL storm tracker on standby, keeping an eye on things as the storm moves into Georgia. The storm tracker is going to be following it into South Carolina and eventually here at home in North Carolina as well. A tropical storm watch is in effect already, as well as a storm surge watch at our coast. Meteorologist Mike Mays will have the latest forecast and the latest track that comes out tonight at 11 o'clock. So be sure to check back in on WRAL. Brian Schrader is here with an update in the Live Center.
Kat, we're just getting some new video in from Savannah, Georgia, of some of the flooding they are dealing with. Take a look at this. You can see that high water rising back there. They have already seen about 2.5 inches of rain today, and they could see another foot of rain as Debbie moves through that area. At this point, we haven't heard about any injuries through there, but you can see that officials are getting ready. They've got the boats out there, those rafts, to do any water rescues that might be necessary.
All right, Brian, thank you so much. Thanks to Kat. Again, WRAL is your place to watch as this coverage, this storm continues to come in. Also, don't forget to keep it right here for WRAL's Olympic Zone. That is next at 7:30. You can expect live updates throughout that newscast. A look behind the scenes from Paris. We have our Liz McLaughlin, who's been keeping us up to date from out there in Paris. In the meantime, we take another look at the coast, and we know this is going to be a multi-day event here as we anticipate this storm, start to feel the rain and the effects as it dumps down rain on us. We have flooding potentially in the future, and even after those clouds move out, the potential for more flooding to impact us through the weekend. So stay right here for the latest. Thank you for being with us here on WRAL News. Have a good night.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.